When the Prophet peace and blessings of Allah be upon him saw Hudhayfah's enthusiasm for knowledge of the signs of the last days, what was wrong with him giving him special privileges? Similarly, he was so concerned about Khalid bin Walid, may Allah be pleased with him, his talent and skill in combat strategy, that he gave him the Saifullah al-Maslul medal from the first time he joined the Muslim ranks. Likewise, when the Messenger of Allah, may Allah's peace and blessings be upon him, prayed for Ibn Abbas, may Allah be pleased with him, O Allah, give him understanding of religion, and teach him the science of interpretation, he saw Ibn Abbas, may Allah be pleased with him, his talent, intelligence, and foresight in this field. B. Was the knowledge that Hudhayfah, may Allah be pleased with him, possessed a specialty, or was it because he focused on studying this field? These proofs and the arguments that have been presented lead to the conclusion that Hudhayfah, may Allah be pleased with him, was given special treatment for knowing about the signs of the last days. At the very least, this is based on the fact that he was the one who was entrusted with keeping the secrets of the Messenger of Allah, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, knowing the names of the hypocrites and their inclination towards the signs of the last days. All this may also mean that he heard from the Messenger of Allah, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, what the other companions did not. This is the outline of the claim of privilege made against Hudhayfah, may Allah be pleased with him. It should be noted, however, that if one looks at the hadiths, he will come to the conclusion that Hudhayfah, may Allah be pleased with him, was more inclined to focus his own efforts on gaining knowledge in this field than on the privilege that the Prophet, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, gave him regarding the hadiths that mention the signs of the last day. In order to explain this issue comprehensively, we will highlight the evidence that invalidates the idea of Hudhayfah, may Allah be pleased with him, being given special privileges, and then discuss the reasons given above. 1. Hudhayfah radiyallahu anhu denied the privilege. Hudhayfah, may Allah be pleased with him, said, "By Allah, I am the one who knows best about every fitna that will happen from now until the day of judgment. There is nothing about me that the Messenger of Allah, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, has not revealed to me, and he has not revealed it to anyone other than me." Muslim, Al-Fitan, Hadith, No. 2891. This hadith has two meanings. Firstly, Hudhayfah, may Allah be pleased with him, himself stated that he was the most knowledgeable person on the subject of fitna. This indicates that he was the one who focused on this issue. The evidence is that the question he asked was very different from the questions asked by the companions in general, as stated in the previous hadith. In the question, he asked the Messenger of Allah, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him. He asked about the bad things that would happen to Muslims so that they would not be afflicted by them. Insofar as Hudhayfah radiyallahu anhu's questions revolved around the bad things that would happen to Muslims in the future, it is certain that the answers given by the Messenger of Allah, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, must have alluded to the fitna that would happen in the future as well. If the logic of the answers given is in accordance with inclusive thinking, and driven by a great deal of seriousness towards the study of this fitna, then surely the answers given by the Prophet, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, will find their truth through understanding and researching the details of the events. It is not surprising that Hudhayfah, may Allah be pleased with him, was the most knowledgeable person on this issue. From this, the nature of the questions Hudhayfah asked, as we have often alluded to, shows that Hudhayfah, may Allah be pleased with him, was indeed more serious about this field of study than he was about receiving special treatment for receiving news about the signs of the last days from the Messenger of Allah, may Allah's peace and blessings be upon him. Secondly, the hadith clearly shows that Hudhayfah radiyallahu anhu rejected any claim of privilege regarding the special treatment given to him by the Messenger of Allah. This is reflected in the denial of any secrets that the Messenger of Allah, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, gave him. This shows that if the one who is most knowledgeable about the signs of the last days denies the secrets that the messenger of Allah, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, revealed to him, this would be more appropriate to rely on than the other companions. The hadith is a convincing proof against the privilege and secrecy with which the messenger of Allah, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, revealed the signs of the last days. Hudhayfa radiyallahu, on whose expertise, when compared to the other companions, is solely due to his inclination and attention to the theme of the signs of the last day, in addition to his talent, which also provides a high chance in mastering this field of study. Another example is that Allah, may he be glorified and exalted, gave Ibn Abbas, may he be glorified and exalted, more talent in the knowledge of the interpretation of his book, or Abu Hurairah, may he be glorified and exalted, more talent in the knowledge of the interpretation of his book. Knowledge of the hadith of the Messenger of Allah, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, so too did Allah, the Almighty, give Hudhayfa, may Allah be pleased with him, an extra talent for understanding the signs of the last days and the fitna. Hudhayfa's great attention to the details of the signs of the last day, and the attention that the Messenger of Allah, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, paid to his inclinations, is an important indication that we should seek advice from those who are capable and experts in their fields, especially in a field that is closely related to the pillars of faith, faith in the last day. The hadith also indicates that it requires a great deal of skill to delve into this field of study, especially when it comes to its details. This is because this field is indeed difficult to study. In addition to the generality of the arguments, it also requires careful analysis so that it is precise in applying and connecting the various signs in the existing hadiths with the events that are being experienced by Muslims. Hudhayfa ibn al-Yaman, may Allah be pleased with him, said, "By Allah, I do not know whether my companions forgot or pretended to forget. By Allah, the Messenger of Allah, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, never missed a single name among the leaders of the fitna, of which there were more than 300 until the world was destroyed, but he mentioned his name, the name of his father, and the name of his tribe." Abu Dawud, Al-Fitan wa al-Malahim, Hadith No. 4222. The hadith is clear evidence that Hudhayfa, may Allah be pleased with him, went back in his memory with the other companions regarding the various fitna on two counts. Whether they had actually forgotten or were pretending to forget, his comments were very natural and normal in a gathering of knowledge. But Hudhayfa, may Allah be pleased with him, was different from the other companions in that he was very concerned about the fitna and the signs of the last day. Therefore, it is only natural that he would have remembered more than the other companions who heard the Prophet, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him. The hadith clearly indicates that Hudhayfa, may Allah be pleased with him, studied this subject as his specialty. On the other hand, this hadith also denies that Hudhayfa, may Allah be pleased with him, received special treatment that made him a cult figure. 2. Refutation of Hudhayfa radiyallahu, on whose argument of privilege. That Hudhayfa radiyallahu anhu was the secret keeper of the Messenger of Allah, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, because he obtained the names of the hypocrites, is not a reason to claim privilege over him, with the presumption that the Messenger of Allah, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, revealed some secrets to him of the signs of the Day of Judgment that were not revealed to the other companions. The lack of an acceptable reason for the claim can be explained as follows. Firstly, it should be pointed out that Hudhayfa's knowledge of the names of the hypocrites had its own wisdom, which was to prevent a fitna from occurring if these names were exposed. On the other hand, there is a more sensible consideration. At least one of the companions memorized these names during the lifetime of the Prophet, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, so that the companions and caliphs after him would have a clear path and not be confused in dealing with them. Hudhayfa, may Allah have mercy on him, could have exposed them if the situation required it. With regard to the fitna and the signs of the last days, the wisdom is that it would have been better if the signs of the last days had been made known to the masses, so that Muslims would have had a clear path forward. Secondly, The signs of the last days are at the heart of the message of Islam, and the demands of the message require a group of companions to know about them so that they can be guided in their affairs. The urgency of the news about the signs of the last days lies in spreading the news to the general public, rather than keeping it secret or under the control of one or a few companions, which is contrary to the vision and mission of the message carried out by the Messenger of Allah, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him. Regarding the opinion that the Prophet, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, was limited to a few companions, about the fitna that would really happen not long after the death of the Prophet, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, because exposing their names would shake the Islamic community at that time. Even though this had actually been hinted at by the Prophet, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him. It's just that among the companions there were different levels and understandings in capturing the signals given by the Messenger of Allah, Shallallahu alayhi wasallam. Future. For those who know the meaning of these signs, it will be easy to understand that this fitna will occur in the near future. Thirdly, claiming the privilege of one companion with regard to the signs of the last days is contrary to the method and guidance of the Prophet, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, especially in this area. Whoever examines the method of the Prophet, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, especially in matters related to fitna, evil and signs of the last days, will find that one of his instructions was to choose the most appropriate time when the companions would be gathered, and then he would speak about it. Like the farewell sermon, in which he systematically explained the fitna and deceptions, especially about the Dajjal, or the invitation to pray in congregation, the purpose of which was to give him the opportunity to recall what Tamim radiyallahu anhu experienced, and the news of the Dajjal. Hudhayfa radiyallahu anhu's use of damir mufrad third-person singular pronoun in the phrase Akbarani, the Messenger of Allah, may Allah's peace and blessings be upon him, informed me, may have been a response to the Messenger of Allah, may Allah's peace and blessings be upon him, questioning him about the fate that would happen according to his understanding. Another possibility is that Hudhayfa was only with the Messenger of Allah, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, when he asked this question. However, each of these possibilities does not mean that his words, Akbarani, indicate that the Prophet revealed a secret to him that was not revealed to the other companions. Another possibility is that Hudhayfa radiyallahu anhu's words were in response to a question at a particular moment, not with the Prophet, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, that he had heard from another companion. Whoever follows the guidance of the Prophet, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, will find many such examples. This is evidenced by the number of similar forms in some of the hadiths of the Prophet, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, which were narrated by the companions in different moments and situations, and the number of different narrators and matans, even though the hadiths narrated were of the same theme. Therefore, the damir mufrad in Hudhayfa radiyallahu anhu's words does not indicate any privilege. On the other hand, the wording used by Hudhayfa, may Allah be pleased with him, has a lot to do with the situation in which the Prophet, may Allah's peace and blessings be upon him, answered the question posed to him, and to whom the answer was addressed to the questioner only, or to all those present. If the answer of the Prophet, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, was specific to him, even though others were present, then there is nothing wrong with Hudhayfa, may Allah be pleased with him, using the words Akbarani because he was the one who asked the question. On the other hand, in a hadith where the damir jama plural pronouns are used, it is possible that the mufrad singular is intended, depending on who is listening. Thus, the use of the words mufrad or even jama in this case does not indicate any meaning. 3. Abu Hurairah radiyallahu anhu. Abdurrahman bin Shakir ad-Dawsi, or more familiarly called Abu Hurairah radiyallahu anhu, was the companion who narrated the most hadiths of the Messenger of Allah, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him. As many as 5,000 hadiths were narrated from him, a record unmatched by any other companion. This is evident from the fact that the companions, who were second in the number of hadith narrations, only narrated around 3,000 hadiths. Let's get back to the point. It is likely that the idea of claiming privilege over Abu Hurairah, may Allah be pleased with him, arose from a misunderstanding of an athar in which he said, "I keep in my memory the hadith narrated from the Messenger of Allah, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, in two containers. One of them I share its contents with others, and the other, if I were to share it with the people, I would break this neck." H.R. Bukhari, Al-Ilm, Hifz Al-Ilm, Hadith No. 150. The point of the above athar is that Abu Hurairah, may Allah be pleased with him, had two pieces of knowledge from the Messenger of Allah, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, one of which he shared with the people, while the other he kept to himself, on the grounds that if he had shared it, his head would have been cut off. It can be said that the meaning of wayan to containers is a form of majaz, because the action of memorizing is an abstract verb and takes place in the heart and the memory. The two containers mean the two kinds of knowledge that he memorized from the Messenger of Allah, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him. In fact, it has been proven in his confession, as stated in the athar, that he was an illiterate person. Therefore, the possibility of two containers, referring to the true meaning, is very remote. As for the possibility of Abu Hurairah radiyallahu anhu dictating his memorization to his confidant, then having the dictated writings kept in two containers, is a weak opinion. So this hadith report makes one wonder what knowledge he was hiding that he did not want to share with others. The correct view, as stated by the scholars of hadith, is that the knowledge that he withheld was about the signs of the Day of Judgment from the hadiths that mention the names of the oppressive rulers and their actions during their lifetime, and not that he withheld everything related to the signs of the Day of Judgment, as some people understand. Abu Hurairah, may Allah be pleased with him, linked the beheading to the narration of the hadith that he had memorized. This means that what he did not report were the hadiths that mentioned the unjust rulers who lived in his time. As for the other hadiths, there was no obstacle at all for Abu Hurairah, may Allah be pleased with him, to expose them. This understanding is also reinforced by the use of kinaya, innuendo, that arises from the information that is hidden, such as the word tawids when mentioning Rasu as Sidon, the beginning of the year 60, or by mentioning Imara ash-Shibian, a child ruler, to point out the government of Yazid bin Muawiyah, who came to power in 60, in which year there was a great tragedy massacre in the history of Muslims. In addition, it is possible that what Abu Hurairah, may Allah be pleased with him, kept secret was related to major tragedies which, if he had exposed them, would have been denied by those who disagreed with him, or they might have ignored him, or they might have turned around and accused him of spreading false news and killed him because of their ignorance about the matter. This is the kind of knowledge that should be kept secret and not exposed to those who do not understand it, or it may lead to misunderstanding. Thus, the athar that led to this privilege bias against Abu Hurairah has been used by the mystics to justify their jargon that there are two different sides to religion, the outer and the inner. The inner, here, is to detach oneself from the religion itself, which they claim is the religion of the special people, Kawash. Some contemporary thinkers have also tried to use this ahadith under the pretext that at first Abu Hurairah, may Allah be pleased with him, kept what was reported to him secret, but towards the end of his life, he revealed it all with regret and guilt, so that the ahadith he kept secret were partly transmitted in secret. This is evidenced by the manuscripts in the hands of the thinker. He began to raise contemporary issues that he attributed to Abu Hurairah, may Allah be pleased with him. Abu Hurairah, may Allah be pleased with him, was free from such charges, but it was the fabricators who used him to propagate their falsehoods. Likewise, the words Hafiz too I memorized in the hadith do not indicate any privilege for him regarding any knowledge. As for the hadith that is contained in the container referred to in the athar, it is also narrated by other companions. As for not narrating some of the hadiths in the containers, This was due to the particular situation that Abu Hurairah, may Allah be pleased with him, was in. But the other companions narrated some of the hadiths based on what they had received from the Messenger of Allah, may Allah's peace and blessings be upon him, because they were not prevented from doing so, as Abu Hurairah, may Allah be pleased with him, was.